Howdy folks, Dr. Lane here back again. Thought I would do a post race to the rock bit of bike unpack. I was going to do this beforehand, but as usual with all the chaos of getting ready for a race, I didn't really get round to it. But I think this will actually work pretty well because I learnt a lot about bike packing itself. Got riding longer than a week. This was a bit of a failed mission for me, sadly. And then secondly, everything on the bike, it has been cleaned, but I've put it back together, so it's pretty much as it was when I pulled the pin. So if you don't know, Race to the Rock was this year run from Sydney to Adelaide. It was supposed to be. It was a bit over 2,000 Ks. If you followed along on Instagram, you would have seen the chaos weather we had. There was a group of 4 of us that was sort of swapping the lead for about the first week. We had a massive reroute. We were stuck in a pub for 36 hours, couldn't go anywhere because of all the flooding. There was moments where I was really questioning what I was doing. Look, I got to close to Swan Hill on the reroute and I knew there was a train home, and I think a switch flicked in my head and said, you know what, I've had enough. I'm racing in South Africa next month for the Rhino run, and that was always the priority. So I kind of pulled the pin so the body was going to be in one piece for the next month leading into that. So I still had some legs. But look, I learned a lot. A race longer than a week is something new to me. It's bloody hard. If you haven't done it, I cannot explain to you, especially for this race, probably being one of the hardest in the world, I would like to think. If it gets much harder than this course that Jesse Carlson puts together, that with the weather, it made it abysmal. It was amazing. Look, I had fun. I did it a bit easier than others, sleeping a bit more. But look, it was bloody tough fighting the sleep monsters. Legs were good, but mind was not quite prepared for that. So, alright, that's the short of it. There was a DNF for me, sadly, but the bike did well. So I want to run through what bike I used, what gear I used. Everything worked perfectly. I learned a lot about the gear that I'm running, equipment-wise, and I'll run through it as I unpack. So, at the center of everything, there is the Curve GMX Plus. This thing is awesome. A titanium frame, essentially built for this sort of race, just off-road, middle of nowhere. It can carry so much. It carries, there's so many frame bosses for bottle cages. I ran to start off with 3 main sort of bottles to start. So I sort of had them down here on the frame. We had 300 kilometre long stretches of no resupply, which we didn't actually get to do because we had to reroute. So I had additional carrying capacity on the front. These are the Wolf Tooth Carry Anything I got from Bike Pack Shop. And then I had more bottle cages and bottles on the back. They were all sort of tied down with volley straps so that things didn't go missing when I was bouncing all over the rocks everywhere. I guess unpack wise, yeah, look, so the bike itself was perfect. It's a size medium, that's what I run. The wheels are a set of Duke racing wheels. Although they're lightweight cross-country wheels, these things are bomb-proof. I was running an SP Dynamo hub on the front, which ran my light system, which is the K-Light bike packing lights with its little cube flasher on the back. That was running all the time. I run a switch for the light, which I only turned on at night time. And I was even being tricky, like if I was going up a hill slowly, I'd turn the light off at night time so there was an extra drag on the hub. I can feel it, and even with a power meter on the bike, because I run an SRM, I really found that I can feel there's, it's not much, it's probably barely 10 watts, but 10 watts is 10 watts to me. So I turned it off. I had another light on my helmet, which I'll run you through when I get to it. So the bike itself, GMX Plus, this thing's awesome. It's probably my favourite bike at the moment. One little thing I did, when you're carrying your bike over gates and up rocks, I actually put in this little handle. So I got some paracord and lashed this up so I can actually pick the bike up with a little handle at the bottom of the top tube there, because it actually is really hard to get your hand in when you've got a frame bag there. So that was great. I think that should be a must for most people, to be honest. Lights, I'll cover the lights. So I ran over, it's a K-Light dynamo system, which Kerry is an Australian brand. And I'm actually pretty proud that most things on here are Australian. So the frame is curved, of course they're Aussie. K-Light is made in Australia. My frame bags, Terra Rosa, so Evan at Terra Rosa, these are custom frame bags. They were awesome, I'll get to them a bit later on. What else is Aussie? I think Nog, so my rear red flashing lights with the Nog blinders, they're rechargeable. Jules from Nog helped me with those. What else is Aussie? I don't think there's too much more Aussie on there, but that's a pretty good ratio of Aussie made companies, so I'm pretty proud of that. Okay, I guess the next big thing on this bike is frame bags. So as I said, all the stuff with the yellow on it is the Terra Rosa. I think this is a light skin bag. The top one is cool, that's where all my food was kept. The bottom one was spares. These things were super waterproof. I was literally riding through water up to, nearly up to the top tube, and most things in here were still dry. Like, they didn't fill up and hold water. The water barely got in. So clearly these zips are waterproof, which was amazing. The top tube one, this feed bag, it was big when I first got it and I was worried my knees were going to rub, but it doesn't rub, and I could fit so much stuff in there. Most of the time that was electrics, or I'd stick my gloves in there if I wasn't using them. I had my battery bank and all the charging ports. I'll run you through those in a sec. But it was awesome, and it was waterproof as well. Quite often with anything electrical, I keep it in a Ziploc bag as well, just in case. But it worked a treat. So this is the Terra Rosa Fidlock custom bag. So the bottom and top one are two separate ones. The rear bag is an Apidura Expedition. I think it's a 14 litre, and then I run the front roll bag with a little feed bag on the front. Okay, I guess now we get to the unpacking part. So what did I actually carry? So it was going to be a bit over a week. So I had sleep gear, I had clothes, I had food, I had spares. It's all on here. So what did I have? Actually, first things first. Let's start with my rain jacket. Pretty much I had it on the whole time. This week was so wet. And so my rain jacket is an Arc'teryx shake dry. This jacket is a little unique in the fact that it's super light and it has a hood. And the hood is the special part. I think when it's super wet, it actually keeps a bit of warmth in as well as keeps you dry. So that's an Arc'teryx shake dry jacket. That just always lived on the back there. Under the elastic strap, because it's super quick to be able to get it off when I see the rain coming at me. I'll unpack the back one. So in the back is my sleep system. So this just comes off. This really only gets opened when I'm sleeping. Now, I was worried about being cold. I do not like being cold, and I knew it was going to be pretty chilly at night time, especially because we were going to be wet. So what I ran was, I had a set of synthetic pants as well, so like down pants but synthetic ones. These are OMM. So that was part of my sleep system, and I had them on if I was stopped somewhere for longer than a few minutes. I'd put it on just to keep warm. So they were great. I actually loved them. I had a jacket as well. Where's the jacket? It must be in the front. So my sleep system itself is a really thin fold up. I think it's 3mm foam. So what I do is just pull that out. I have this extra piece of thicker foam that goes under my hip just so it doesn't dig into the ground. And then this thing just rolls out. It's got insulation on one side just to reflect a bit of heat. And then the rest of it was a Mount Laurel design bivvy, which has a little hood piece. This thing's great. Highly recommend this design. And I had a Spark 1 or a Spark 2, I can't remember. It's a Cedar Summit sleeping bag. It kept me warm when I was outside. It was pretty good. Look, to be honest, I didn't sleep outside too much. I managed to get a hotel most nights, purely because I was so wet. It was an easy way to dry things out. I just literally hop into bed while I'm wet, and kind of the bed soaks a lot of the water out of me. So that adds a little bit of comfort. But the night I was outside, I was actually quite hot in that setup, which was good. Alright, that's the back. I'll get to the front. This is where all the small stuff is. So I've got gloves. I've got all my other on and off stuff. So that's my jacket. That's the matching OMM synthetic jacket that matches those pants. So synthetic's good because if it gets wet, it still keeps you warm. If down gets wet, it doesn't do its job. So synthetic is smarter. What else is in here? Alright, I pretty much lived in a set of Rafa leg warmers the whole time. Leg warmers aren't so good when you're wearing them for like a week straight because your kneecaps get a little bit sore, but they weren't too bad. I had a set of arm warmers, the leg warmers. I had a thick set of Rafa gloves. These are like winter gloves. I had a second pair of, I like Swiftwick socks. They're kind of compressive, and they, with the swelling we get after a week or so on the bike, it kind of stops your feet swelling up as much and therefore being sore inside your shoe. So that, I had a little Rafa winter cap, so this thing pretty much kept my ears and stuff warm as well. That was pretty much on most of the time, to be honest. What else is in here? Another leg warmer. I had a buff, so that's a Rafa Merino buff. Another glove. I also had a pair of Rafa Merino socks. So when I slept, I'd put the Merino socks on. They always dry. I'd never put them on if I thought they were going to get wet. They were kind of a backup to keep my feet warm. They were super good. What else is in here? Oh yeah, rain pants. So these were brand new when I started. I've destroyed them. The crutch has literally got a massive hole in it now, sadly. Don't know if you can see that. It's fallen apart. It's kind of part of the parcel. I've been through plenty of rain pants before because they just aren't. You can't make a waterproof outer that doesn't rub and wear on the saddle. These are, what are they? Outdoor Research Helium pants. They're super light. They were good. They keep the warmth in a lot, so even if you are wet and it's not raining anymore, I just left them on and it just kept me a little bit warmer and sheltered me from the wind. What else did I run? Electronics. I ran a Garmin 1030 Plus, so that is the big Garmin there. I have maps loaded on this. I kind of use it for my daily stuff, like seeing how far I've ridden each day. I do run maps on it, but I also run, if I can get it off, I don't know if I can get it off quickly. Ah, there it goes. The old school Garmin E-Trex. Maps were on it. It's my fail-safe when it comes to just follow the line. I split the 2,000 kilometre course up into about 200 kilometre sections, so it's in sections. If you make the files too big, they can tend to stuff up. So yeah, there was like 7 or 8 different files on each unit that I just loaded up when I got to the end of each one. The other important electrics are my Garmin InReach Mini. So this little thing, that's our satellite tracker. That's how when everyone following the dots can see where we are, because that's what we're carrying. It just lives in the pocket of my little feed bag on the front. I guess on that, as part of my bag system, I've got 2 feed bags that are, either a bottle holder. They usually had food in it. Oh, there's a couple of things left. If everyone knows me, you'll know I should be a brand rep for LCM bars. I love those things. Actually had one left that I hadn't eaten. The rest of my food was usually kept in this top one. So I usually live on cheese and bacon rolls if I can get them. If we're a long stretch, I'll make cheese and salami rolls or sandwiches and store them in there. The rest of it's just literally servo food. So I'm buying whatever I can get. It's Snickers bars. This is a bag of nuts. I find nuts are good. You want to get fats in as well as the carbohydrates, and the nuts have some good fats. I'll live on potato cakes. I'll get to a servo and drink chocolate milk. I'll drink, Skull and Gatorades like nothing else. I always carry a bunch of Ziploc bags. They come in super handy. If things are getting wet, you can pop them in a bag. Or if you need to empty the packaging from a supermarket and just stick it all in the bin while you're there, you can just cram stuff into a Ziploc bag. It means you carry less stuff. Maybe I'll get a little bit of B-roll of my front end, but I'm running gears wise. I'm running Axis. I'm running wireless on this thing. Bike packing, maybe not a smart thing if something goes wrong in the middle of nowhere, but it worked amazingly. So I was underwater for maybe 5 kilometre sections. The whole bike was pretty much up to my waist deep. So my hubs, the dynamo hub worked underwater, and it's still fine now. My GX rear derailleur, my SRAM derailleur, was working underwater. I could click gears and it was changing. I was shitting myself, it was going to die, but amazingly it kept going the whole way. I took 4 spare batteries with me for a week. That was a mistake. I thought they'd last that long. I had to buy a charger in Orange because I was going through a battery in less than a day. So I had to buy a charger. I didn't bring mine with me. I've learnt for next time. The other thing I was really proud of was Camelback. This is an old Camelback bottle, but you can get Camelback little valve covers now. So if you've ever ridden on the gravel where it's all gross and yuck, and they get covered in mud, so you're like, how am I going to drink this without getting mud all over myself in my mouth? That little cap, I just pop it and it'd be nice and clean underwards. So underneath it. So that was a big bonus in doing that. What else? What else have I got? Electrics wise, so how does everything run? So I'll show you some B-roll of the K-Lite little system. So I can USB charge off this little system to top up my phone. I didn't really do that too much. I just use it for the light at night time. I run an Unker. This is a 20,000 milliamp, I'm pretty sure it is. 20,000 milliamp battery bank. These things are super good. I like the Unker ones because it has a low voltage charge option. So you hold the button down, maybe you press it twice, and it will charge things like my power meter or some Bluetooth headphones that usually, if you had them plugged in on a normal one, this thing would go to sleep because there's not enough draw coming off it. But these Unker ones, I've got 3 of them. This is the middle size one I've got, is really good, I find, because it's rapid charge from USB-C. This thing charges only in a couple of hours off a PowerPoint, but it also keeps everything topped up, and it has the low voltage or low current output option as well. So that thing was just lived in my top shoe bag, and I'd top phones up, top up the InReach Mini, top up anything else that needed batteries along the way, really. What else? In my little food pouch at the front, this thing's always handy, it just fits some more stuff. I had a bunch of volley straps, so the volley straps were to tie on the bottles on the back. I just had the little one on them just so they didn't go anywhere. Then I had the big ones when we got to the big section where I needed lots of fuel or lots of water. I had I had a bottle of Coke and a bottle of Lift on one side of the forks on those mounts, and I strapped them on using the volley straps. What else is in the front? The little Cedar Summit day packs, that's a little packable backpack. Couldn't live without that. You go to a supermarket, you put food in it, goes in your back, and then it packs up away to nothing again. That's my little Cedar Summit blow up pillow for my sleep system. I had toothpaste, toothbrush, and in there I had earplugs, so whenever I sleep I put them in. It just stops you from waking up with weird noises. I had a little bike lock. I think I only used it once, but that was because I've actually got this other cool little thing now, which is from Nog as well, and it's kind of like a, what are they called? What are the Apple things called? The trackers, little trackers. But this thing goes on the bike. I can arm it with my phone, so it Bluetooths to my phone, and it's kind of like when it's parked outside of a shop, you arm it, and if it senses movement, it'll start blaring an alarm. So it's kind of like a deterrent for someone stealing your bike. But if they do run off with it, it's also got the tracker built in, so I can see on Find My Friends where my phone is. I'm not sure the mechanics behind it. I don't know if it needs other phones around it for it to be able to pick up the location. But that thing, it made me feel safer when it was out the front of a supermarket anyway in a little town. What else is in here? I ran aero bars. These are like Adidas parabolic, and then I've got Kenny Boy at Ride Sync. I love this. I've pinched my pads off my time trial bike. They're on there. They're just a bit thicker. Curve warmer bars. These are a 50 centimeter bar. Love them. I can't go back to narrow bars ever. The wide bars are so good. I've got a quad lock on the front as well. Alright, electrics wise, this is the basics. I use these little Dyneema bags. I'm pretty sure they're Dyneema by Zero Gravity Gear. Actually another Aussie brand. There's a guy who whips these up. My second light was this Phoenix, and that's the model. It's a BC26R. It takes a rechargeable battery and it recharges off USB-C. So I had that on my helmet, which I haven't got with me. What helmet did I have? I was very much a Lockheed Martin rip-off this weekend. I had a pink EF helmet and a blue Cannondale EF Team Shadow Rafa jacket. That's just electric, so that's just all my normal stuff. Batteries, spare batteries for the E-Trex, which are AA's, battery charger, batteries for the Axis, they're just all in there. What else I've got? Actually, I got this along the way because I lost my other one, but this worked great. Rock and Roll Gold, it's like a wax-based lubricant. It was actually really good. I think I'm actually going to stick with that ongoing. I usually use Squirt, but this sort of is a penetrant as well, and it just kept things running a bit smoother. Sorry, they were dead old wipes. I wipe my chamois down when I can just to get the mushrooms off it. All my spares. I've got my spares. If you want to see what was in here, go to my Instagram account. I had a pretty good little bike layout grid, but it's all your usual suspects to get yourself out of trouble. I had tyre sealant. I just always carry more in case I've got to put some more sealant in there, and that is Joe's No Flats. This pump is a really good pump. It is a Crank Brothers pump. It has it's high volume. I've got all my little needles and stuff on there, tape on there, thread on there to be able to fix stuff. It has if I can get it out, it has a gauge on the pump. So it's got a little pressure gauge, so I roughly know where I'm at, where I need to be, and it just works well. I do love this pump for what I do. Some more wet wipes. I don't even think I used them. That was a waste of weight. Last things in here were lots of cable ties and some spare spokes. I've got enough spokes that they're the right size for what's on my wheels in case I need to fix something. Lots of cable ties in case I fall apart or my bike falls apart. They're just handy. They don't take up any space. Another Aussie brand, Premax. Chamois cream. I used handfuls and handfuls of that. It's the only thing to save yourself, I think. Just douse yourself in that a couple of times a day. Tubes. Now this is debatable. I don't actually have a real tube. I've got one of those Tubalitos, small ones, and I've got a very thin rubber butyl tube as well. But I'd always carry 2 tubes just in case. I think that's it. Bottles, lights, that, bike. Yep, I'm pretty sure that's it. Oh, kit. Hang on, I might have to magically do something here. Alright, I'm back. Sorry, I realised I didn't have the kit that I wore, and I wanted to run through what I actually wore for this very wet ride. There's the pink helmet I had, nice and bright. I always run a photochromic lens in a set of Oakleys. They were super good. Actually, I barely had the sunnies on because it was so wet I couldn't see anyway, sadly. Kit I wore. Look, this is a bit sneaky because Rafa always helped me out, but this deserves to be said. These are a set of the Peddler, I think they're called long haul nicks. They're the cargo ones with the pockets in the sides. I just trust these for when your butt's on a saddle for a week. I don't have any problems with these, and I'm scared to change to something else. So they're great, and they're my go-to. But the rest of my kit was Rafa, so I had First of all, our base layer is always a merino under top. Like that's a short sleeve merino. That was on all the time. Then I always run, or had on, this thing. This is why I said I look like Lockie Morton. I'm not trying to be like him, but these are the hand-me-downs from the boys I coach. This is like a shadow gear one, so it's a somewhat waterproof just jersey, and it was great. Keeps the wind out, and it was really good. I had that on all the time. In my kit, I always take a set of underwear. These are just a pair of Bonds. If I'm sleeping in a hotel room, I'll tend to put them on. It lets things dry out, so you know, everything's not wet all the time. And I think that is a trick to making sure you don't have problems, is letting things air out a little bit. I always had a vest, so that's just a Rafa RCC vest, wind blocker vest. That was great. And then the other thing I always had on was a set of gloves. They're a set of Rafa Breve short finger gloves. There's not much padding in them, but look, when you're wet and your skin gets all soft, it really just starts to go gross. So these sort of stop the abrasion when you're on the hoods all the time. That's it, folks. Sorry that dragged on, but there's a lot of stuff to unpack here. So that's about it. If you've got any questions, shoot them down below. As I said, this didn't really go to plan for me. I wanted to get to the end, but I decided not to. I'm racing again next month in October in South Africa with a bunch of mates for the Rhino Run. If you haven't seen that, look it up. It is going to be pretty bloody cool. And I'll go through all this stuff again for that. I'll be on my my titanium curve, the gravel bike for that one. It's not quite as rugged as what this one was. That's about it, folks. Thanks for watching. I hope you made it through the whole thing. See you next time.